What is up, everyone? It is Asher Phillips, and today I'm making a video on why I believe Kevin Durant is actually the most skilled NBA player over LeBron James. So, I believe everyone has a general idea of how accomplished Kevin Durant is. Finals MVP, regular MVP, 4 times scoring champ, 8 times All Star, Rookie of the Year, and it goes on. Kevin Durant is often considered to be the second best behind LeBron. And stats wise, I have a hard time arguing this. LeBron has simply put up better stats in the finals, regular season. He's a better all around player stat wise. However, I believe Kevin Durant is more skilled than LeBron, and let me share with you why. To start off, Kevin Durant is by far the best, if not one of the best scorers the NBA has ever seen. LeBron is famously quoted for saying he's chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan, but KD can make a case that he's also chasing the ghost of Michael Jordan scoring wise. As I think a lot of people know, he tied Michael Jordan's record for the most 20-point games, 72. He's one of the 5 people with the score who got the scoring title in 4 years. He's in the company of Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, George Gervin, and Allen Iverson. They've all accomplished that feat. And he has never averaged under 20 points in a season, including his rookie year. He averaged over 20 points. Kevin Durant, as I mentioned, was the Rookie of the Year that year. And LeBron is quoted saying that he believes Kevin Durant has a large chance of ending up as the leader of the all-time scoring list. And this is him quoted. His ability to score the ball is obviously up there with the greatest to ever play. And he goes on to say that we very well may be seeing Kevin Durant at the top of the scoring list when his career is over. Since everyone is generally aware of Kevin Durant's elite offense, I decided not to go too in-depth with it because I feel like a lot of YouTubers put out content about Kevin Durant's quality offense, and so I wanted to be different, and I wanted to talk about something that often goes unnoticed and is quite underrated. It's the quality of Kevin Durant and something that the Warriors may have not had as much fortune in the finals if it weren't for Kevin Durant's defense. Now, Kevin Durant was actually 9th in block leaders this season. He was ahead of Draymond Green, who was the Defensive Player of the Year, and was actually on Kevin Durant's team. This is quite important if you think about it. The Defensive Player of the Year was not even the leader of blocks on his own team, if you think about that. Not to discredit Draymond Green, because Draymond Green is a defensive force of nature, and you can see that every time he's on the court. Anyone who can get a triple-double without getting any points or without having 10 points and having steals and blocks in that, or steals and rebounds or whatever it was, is showing that they are truly a defensive force. However, I say this to show that Kevin Durant is also defensively capable of causing issues for opposing offenses, because he averaged 1.65 blocks per game. He was tied with DeAndre Jordan for blocks per game this season. DeAndre Jordan was selected to the All-Star team because of his defense. DeAndre Jordan is not a very offensively oriented player, even though he does have an offensive component to his game. The majority of his game and the majority of reasons why he's recognized as an all-star and an elite caliber player is his defense. And you're telling me that Kevin Durant averaged the same amount of blocks per game that he did? Just to put that into perspective. And Kevin Durant mentioned that Kendrick Perkins, his former teammate on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who played center, he taught him some of the quote-unquote tricks of guarding big men, because Kevin Durant was aware that when he went to the Warriors, he probably would have to spend some time playing the power forward, just because Draymond at the power forward was typically a mismatch. Even though Draymond does play such stellar defense, it would be easier to put Kevin Durant at the power forward position. So, another thing I want to mention, that Kevin Durant is the one of two small forwards who, the other one being Giannis Antetokounmpo, excuse me if I mispronounced that, he's one of the only two small forwards in the top 30 block leaders. That means that Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo are elite defensive rim protectors. And as you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of the most athletic players and athletic all-stars in the league. And Kevin Durant can go toe-to-toe with Giannis in blocks per game, which says a lot about Kevin Durant's rim protection skills. I think a lot of times, because Kevin Durant is such a talented offensive player, people tend to forget about his amazing defensive skills as well. But I'm trying to bring light to that. Although the intended purpose of this video was not to say that KD is better than LeBron, because first of all, it's kind of vague and general, so you can argue how one person is better than the other person. Something that commonly comes up in this realm of conversation is LeBron. He makes his teammates better, and this is something that's undeniable. LeBron does change the way that his teammates plays, and he makes it easier for them to play when he's on the floor. But I also like to make the point that Kevin Durant has a way of doing this too, and let me share with you how. First of all, in terms of assists, Kevin Durant's numbers, they're nowhere near typical point guard's numbers, or at least they're not like Chris Paul numbers where he's getting like 8 or 7 assists per game. But the past 2 seasons, he averaged 5 assists with Russell Westbrook and 4.8 assists this year with the Warriors. But one thing I would like to remind everyone of is Kevin Durant has never been on a team where he was the sole playmaker and he was given the keys to the offense like Giannis Antetokounmpo was. Although Kevin Durant is entrusted with the ball a lot, and he is in charge of taking over offensively with his own scoring ability, he's not tasked with setting up other teammates for scoring. Even while not being in this position, he still managed to put up 5 assists per game in 2016-2017 season. Or, 2015-2016 season. And I would like to stress to you why it's important to put this into perspective. Isaiah Thomas averaged about 6 assists this season. Isaiah Thomas was a starting point guard on a team with no other all-stars, and the closest thing they had to all-star was Al Horford. So Isaiah Thomas was entrusted with the ball and was in charge of being the sole playmaker for his team, and he only averaged 6 assists, while Kevin Durant was not entrusted with this, and he still managed to average 5. So Kevin Durant was still a great playmaker for his position, where he was not in a position where he was required to be the playmaker like LeBron was, but he still managed to do that, which speaks to his unique ability to do everything on the floor like LeBron can. And another thing I would like to mention is more of the mental aspect of being the floor general. Dion Waiters, who played with both Kevin Durant and LeBron, was asked about the difference in LeBron and KD's mentality and attitude on the floor and how they lead. Dion went, and I quote, he said, "LeBron is a coach on the floor. KD is more of a lead by example guy." And by a first glance at this quote, you may be thinking that he's trying to say Kevin Durant is not like a coach. And that's clear. He's saying that he is trying to make a distinction between the two leadership styles. But he does mention that Kevin Durant's method is effective as well. And Kevin Durant still manages to be a leader on the court. And it is implied that Kevin Durant's method of leading by example does heed results. And it is effective. So I would like to mention that. And this was a former teammate of Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant does make his teammates better. I don't know if it's to the degree that LeBron does, but it is important that people realize this. We all know that Kevin Durant is really tall, but there is some debate over how tall he is. I don't know why it's a debate. I'll explain the facts to you. But if you ask Google right now how tall Kevin Durant is, Google would tell you that Kevin Durant is 6'9". And if you play 2K and you used him on Blacktop and they list the height of who you were using, it would say that Kevin Durant is 6'9". If you went on an NBA site and you looked up Kevin Durant and his stats, it would tell you that Kevin Durant is 6'9". However, Kevin Durant is on record saying that he was 6'9" so that he could play the small forward position, because once you are at 7 foot, it is more likely that you'll be placed at the power forward position. But Kevin Durant did not want to be a power forward, probably because he had such a unique skill set, which he felt could be the most utilized at the small forward position. But anyways, Kevin Durant is 7 foot. Kevin Durant has said he's 7 foot. You can see in photos that Kevin Durant is 7 foot. And we're just going to, for the sake of this video, we're just going to assume he's 7 foot. Even though at 6'9", and with his arm span, being able to dribble and handle the ball the way he can is still impressive. But for the sake of this video, we'll just go with him being 7 foot. And when you are taller, it is harder to dribble in general. So when you are 7 feet tall, it will be harder to dribble. And Kevin Durant has elite handles and handles that are on par with some of the best guards in the NBA. Whether you believe this or not, it is true. Because Kevin Durant has such a polished offensive skill set, people tend to not appreciate the little things in his abilities and realize how difficult it is for him to do the things he does at his stature. But Kevin Durant is a 7-footer with the handles of an elite point guard. Not to mention, Kevin Durant is also one of the best shooters in the NBA, period. He is as consistent of a shooter as Stephen Curry. I repeat, Stephen Curry, the one you all worship, the three-point king, whatever you want to call him. Stephen Curry is as equally skilled as a three-point shooter as Kevin Durant is. Believe it or not, it's true. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole thing of who has farther range, because I believe personally that Stephen Curry may be able to shoot from farther range than Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant is one of the best three-point shooters in the league. I believe he's top 10 in field goal or three-point percentage this season. He shot around 50% or like 48 or something close to that, which is extremely good for an NBA season. So not only does Kevin Durant have the handles of a point guard, but he has a jump shot that is comparable to Stephen Curry's. Not in mechanics, but in consistency and in three-point percentage. And people tend to forget this because we have exciting new young players like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ben Simmons, who are super tall ball handlers and playmakers. And although I mentioned before how Kevin Durant may not be stat-wise, he may not be the best playmaker, which is something, or it's a quality that Ben Simmons has, which is why he's getting comparisons to LeBron James and Magic. Kevin Durant still is partially responsible for the trend of big men with handles in a jump shot. And so he doesn't get enough credit for being so skilled in those two categories. Because Kevin Durant's game is so well-defined, people often forget the little things that make his game up. And I think it's important to remember that. My hope is that after watching this video, you've been able to see how Kevin Durant is much more than just a scorer, and his skill set is unmatched by any current NBA player. I have much more content, and I have a lot of ideas that I want to share with you all, so please subscribe, like the video, share the video, comment. Let's get a nice conversation going in the comment section. Hopefully this video gets a lot of views. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm a growing basketball channel. Right now I'm making basketball content, but it's mostly just a channel about anything that I find interesting. Critiques are welcome. I'm trying to get better. This is my second YouTube video. Thank you. Enjoy your day. So long.